How are we there, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Josh, joined by Ben, as always. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very good. Bit of delayed reaction there.
Because I'm pressing buttons at the same time and eating.
Oh, very good, very good. That's how professional we are here, ladies and gentlemen. So on tonight's episode, we will we will be joined by Zenon Caravella to talk a little bit about his time at the Jets, obviously a little bit about his career elsewhere as well. First of all, obviously, big shout out to Gabrielle Mar Optometrist, our major sponsors down there at Jesmond. Be sure to go check those guys out if you're in the area for all your eye care needs and everything else. Big congratulations to the Mako sunglass winner as well, Pete. So I hope you're enjoying those, mate. It's muchly appreciated. Thanks again to Lockie and the team there, and obviously Mako themselves. But without further ado, we'll get into it. Zenon, mate, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, absolute pleasure. Thanks for giving up a bit of your time tonight and having a bit of a chat to the Newcastle faithful. Obviously, we'll start obviously from the start, mate. Where did it all begin for you?
Well, I started playing when I was 4 years old. I was still in nappies up here in far north Queensland, and yeah, I had the opportunity. Well, my father and mother had the opportunity to move for work, and I guess I started my teenage career journey in Sydney with Sydney Olympic in the old National Soccer League, and then from there, obviously progressed into the A League as well and overseas.
Yeah, Matt Vandenberg's just popped in the chat and said, "Don't have any questions for the great man, but send my love."
Love back to Matty Vandenberg as well. He was a champion supporter of the Jets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great guy.
And he still is.
Yeah, he still is traveling land and sea to go see the boys every week. So good on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously we've got a few questions from all the fans. We'll start with one where what have we got here? Aiden sent in a few. He was a big you're a big fan of his, so a big favourite of his. Sorry. So at what age, if you can remember, did you sit down and say to yourself, "I want to play in the A League"? So we touched on that a little bit, but was there a time, obviously probably more so in your teens, that you thought that, that's where you wanted to be? Or the
NFL? Yeah, first of all, thanks for the question, Aiden. I think for me, as soon as I, was very young, that I had the dream of becoming a professional footballer. And I think I was fortunate in a way because, my uncle was a professional footballer. So, as a young kid, you see him playing overseas, playing for Australia, and of course you want to be like that. So from very early on, I always wanted to be a professional footballer, and yeah, I think that was well before I was a teenager, as far back as I remember. So yeah, it was always a dream of mine, and I was very fortunate that I was able to be a professional footballer.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on obviously your time. It's Sydney Olympic, where it pretty well, I suppose, all began. The NSL and so forth. What can you remember about your time? Obviously, there. What was the club like? What were some of the players that you probably would have been playing with at that time? I'm sure there would have been some decent players in the squad.
Yeah, at that point in time, Sydney Olympic was obviously one of the biggest clubs in Australia. A lot of history, in that club, and it was an amazing time that I had there. I was there from the under 12s right through to the senior team, and made my debut as a young teenager. So, I have a lot of fond memories of Sydney Olympic. It was a very special time in my life, and there was some very, very good players that I played with in those in those years. And one of them actually was from Newcastle, and he still to this day remains one of my favourite players, one of the best players I played with, and his name was Troy Halpin.
Oh.
So yeah, look, we had the likes of Ante Milicic, who's now obviously the Matildas coach, Ante Juric, Tom Ponliak, Nick Carl, Paul Kohler, Tarek Elrich. I mean, the list goes on with the players that we had in that squad at the time, and we in fact won the old National League, I think in 02-03 with that squad. So yeah, it was a very special time in my career, and always remember it very, very fondly.
Yeah, absolutely. James has jumped in. I have a question. Did he think that Emerald and Cinnamon was the best kit Jets had?
Emerald and Cinnamon. I've got that kit still, and yeah, I think that was a great kit. There's a lot of good kits over the years with the Jets, as I'm sure you guys would know. But I did really like that kit, to be fair.
Did you hear that, Laurie? There's another one to add to the list.
We're just campaigning. We're campaigning.
We've been campaigning for about 3 seasons.
The whole podcast was virtually originally based on that kit. The whole background, everything was pretty much notified. Even the crest and the badge, obviously the Crossbar Capers now is still based on that. Yeah, we want it back. It was a ripper. If we can't get the gold, surely we can get that. So, thanks for your question, James. Muchly appreciated. Where was I going with that? So obviously, Sydney Olympic, as you said, you guys were at the time, pretty much the benchmark, or if not, definitely one of the benchmarks clubs. Was there any interest early on? Obviously, we know you went to New Zealand, obviously in the first season of the A League itself, but was there talk of obviously maybe going overseas at a young age?
Yeah, there was. I think for every young player, of course, or in my case anyway, it was that I wanted to go overseas as well, and play overseas and be part of the big European leagues and all the rest of it. But over the course of in your journey as a young footballer, you come across many different people, and you get a lot of different advice from everyone. And I did have an opportunity to go over to Holland when I was 16, and it was something that I didn't take up the opportunity on. Yeah. And if I look back, that was probably one of my regrets. But it's you get told to play in Australia and first make a name in Australia, and then head overseas, and then try and make it over there. Whereas now, if I look back, it's of course, the A League is fantastic. It's a great competition. But if you get an opportunity to go to Europe, then I would say that it's something that you, depending on your circumstances, it's very hard to pass up. But yeah, there was interest when I was younger, for sure.
Aiden's got another question here. From any of the clubs that you've played at, who was the best coach that you've played under?
Oh, yeah. Look, that's a tough question. It's a tough question.
Or even someone, obviously, again, we point that to a lot of ex-players that we've had on, and as I said yourself, you've been under a fair few. Is there any that's I suppose you've got your academy now. Is there any coaches that you've taken some stuff away from and used today, or helped you with your career?
Yeah, look, to get back to the first part of the question, I really enjoyed my time under Clayton Zane when he took over. I think it was in the interim there at Newcastle for 10 odd games or so. Yep. And I guess that was a refreshing change from the coaches that I'd had in the past, and I really enjoyed his style of management and the way he saw the game being played. So Clayton Zane was one in the latter part of my career that I really enjoyed. And of course, the other one was Rini Coolen, who was in Adelaide, and unfortunately he got the sack after 10 games, and obviously didn't continue in that role. But Rini was another great coach, and I liked him because he was someone who I wanted to play for. And I think that's a very big skill in a coach to be able to get the players to play. First of all for the club and for the coach, and to be able to get that out of players is an art. And and Rini had that despite the results, and it was a shame that I wasn't able to play under him for longer. And I guess that's just how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a very cruel world in the coaching world.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It is. It's a chop and block, unfortunately. So obviously, you moved from Sydney. You eventually signed with New Zealand Knights in the first season of the A League. You played under, I think it was John Adsheed.
John Adsheed.
Yeah, former New Zealand international. What was it like? Obviously, not so much, I suppose, playing under him. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself. But I suppose a lot of interviews and a lot of podcasts that Ben and I have done. We've always touched on the jump between obviously now the NPL to obviously the A League. What was it like? How big of a jump? How much of a change was it for you when you went to New Zealand?
Yeah, look, it wasn't. Do you mean from the NSL to the A League, or just?
Yeah, obviously, probably from the NSL, so to speak. Was there much change, or did you virtually go in there and it was somewhat the same? Obviously, you watch. We've had NPL players on, obviously, and they've stated that the jump has been a lot difficult. They go to the A League, and obviously the training's a lot harder. It's a lot more stressful, a lot more fatigued, and stuff like that. Did you find much difference at all, or was it pretty much?
No, not. There wasn't a huge difference for myself, and there was an 18-month break between the old National League and the resumption or the start of the A League.
Sure.
So obviously, there was an adjustment period for players getting back into full-time football. But for myself, I think Sydney Olympic and I think it was only Parramatta Power at the time were the only two full-time clubs left in the NSL. And so for myself, I was fortunate because being part of a full-time setup in the National Soccer League gave me the opportunity as a very early on as a young footballer to train full-time in a full-time environment, twice a day, 5 days a week, and a game on the weekend. So it was my job, essentially. So for me, going into the A League, physically, it wasn't any different. But I would probably say that the A League was probably more organised or more professionally run as opposed to the old National League. Yeah,
absolutely. How was your time? Obviously in New Zealand, you were there pretty much just for the inaugural season. How did you find your time there over in New Zealand?
Well, New Zealand was a bit of a debacle, to be honest, because I don't think we won a game. Yeah, and it was a difficult time. It was a new squad assembled. Not that should make any difference, as you see what Western Sydney Wanderers done in their first year. But there's no two ways about it. It was a shambles. We won no games. I think we won one, but it wasn't a great year on the park.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful place to live. So, I enjoyed my time on the weekends, and that's all you can do when you're in a situation like that.
Yeah. What was the morale like? Obviously, the team. Obviously, as you said, it must have been pretty tough. But obviously, did you just get around each other, and did you was everyone sort of, I suppose, that's the best way to put it. I suppose, did you guys rely on each other? Did you, console each other, and obviously stuff like that, or was there a bit of tension?
No, look, there's always tension and pressure when you have a situation like that. But in all honesty, it was, despite the results on the field, it was a good team to be in. It was a lot of big characters in there, a lot of big personalities, and No, it was never any issues within the changing room. It was just more so disappointment. How do we get out of this? What do we do better?
Yeah.
But the group of players there was a great group of players and great guys. So from that point of view, it was enjoyable.
Very good. Anyone in chat there, Ben? I think there's a bloke. There's V Karuk. My apologies if I've butchered the name. Zenon, you're a legend, mate. Keep up the fantastic work up here in North Queensland. True gentleman. So there you go. Very well said there from V.
Hey V, how you going, mate? Thanks very much. And likewise to you, Champion V. Thanks very much.
So we'll move on. Obviously, you spent the season in New Zealand, and then there was obviously was there much interest going overseas? Obviously, you left New Zealand for FC Omni World at the time, but was there much more interest than that, or were they pretty much the sole guys chasing overseas?
I did. So after that season, I was going to go to the Raw, and I did go after that season on a post-season tour with them and Miron Bleiberg to Korea, and it just so happened that it was a really interesting story how this all happened. But during the season of the first year of the A League, we had a young player in our team from Manchester United, and his name was Ben Collett, and he'd just been released by Manchester United, so he didn't get a first team contract. They released him, and he was milling around Europe trying to find a club, trialing in a few different places, and ended up in New Zealand Knights of all places. So it was quite a big jump from him to go from a Premier League youth player to the A League, and so it happened. A scout had been following this young player since he was 13 years old, and followed him out to New Zealand. Came out for 4 or 5 weeks. Watched a few games of him because he was keeping tabs on him, and while he was watching him, took a real liking to me, and so. I finished playing a game one day, and I got approached by this Dutch guy, Ted van Leeuwen, his name was, and I think he's a technical director now of FC20 in Holland. And he said, "Would you come to Holland?" And I said, "Yeah, for sure." So, and that's how it happened. I went from A League playing. This guy was looking at another player, and just so happened to take me over. So. That's there was some interest, and that's how I guess I ended up in Holland.
Yeah. So obviously, what was how did you find it over there? Was it obviously completely different? Was the training completely different? Was this the style of football obviously would have been different? How did you find all that?
Yeah, the style was the hardest adjustment for myself. I grew up in Australia with a very Australian mentality. Work hard, work like a dog, kick, tackle, scrap, fight. This is the way we play, and and that's obviously things have changed now. This is going back quite a few years ago now. When I went to Holland, they love those attributes that I had and that Australians have in general. But from a stylistic point of view, there was other things that that you had to have to be a good player, and so it took me a while to adjust to what they wanted in terms of a midfield player. So that was challenging, and that was difficult. But once I got used to that and found my feet, I feel it changed the way I played and gave me a completely different way of playing. So it was a brilliant experience for myself to go over to Holland.
Yeah, you spent 2 seasons there. Obviously, you I believe you signed on a 1-year deal at first, and then obviously the extension came for another season. I believe there was talk of going to another club. Was that the case there? And what made you sign on for the second season?
Yeah, so I had a challenging first few months in Holland. But after that, I
Yeah.
found my feet and had a very good season there. So the club offered another year to extend, but in between that year extension, there was an opportunity to go to another a club there in Holland. But again, advice you get given, things that are said. I decided to, I guess, take a safe bet and stay with that club that I'd just gone to.
Yeah.
And the idea was to see out another season and then progress, hopefully from there. But yeah, look, again, you always get interest if you're doing well, and then I guess it's a decision. Do you pursue it? Do you stay where it's where you're comfortable, or so there's many different things happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, you got anything you'd like to add before we keep?
Nothing off the top of my head, just like little things I did look into. I can't remember his name. Their technical director at FC Twente, yes, he is still there. Has had quite a career in jumping around the Dutch league and also was a scout at Iceberg as well. So, something very interesting. It's one of those things that I pick out of nowhere and do a bit of little research on.
Well, obviously, you left there and then you ended up coming back to the A League, where you signed with the Gold Coast. There was talk of you possibly going to the Serie B. If that's correct, obviously, what made you come back instead of maybe chasing something over there?
Yeah, look, again, it's at that point in time, I just proposed to my wife, and while I was playing in Holland, I got a call, Miron Bleiberg, who'd obviously started the new franchise Gold Coast with Clive Palmer, and at that point it was a great offer, and gave me the opportunity then to get married in Australia, stay and play in front of family and friends, and again, it's something that was I guess comfortable. It was an opportunity to go back, and so it was a very difficult decision. I remember saying to my wife Kat at the time, do we stay in Europe? Do we try to go to Italy? Because there was that interest there from Serie B side at the time. But again, we weighed everything up and said, look, we'll go back home, get married, and play a couple of years there, and then see what else pops up. So that's how I ended up back home.
Fair enough. So obviously you ventured back home to the Gold Coast. James Wiley's popped in again. Did you ever meet Clive Palmer? And if so, what was he like?
Well, yeah, I met Clive Palmer many times.
Yeah, sure.
And look, what do you say? He's an interesting guy. I mean, you see him on the news. He's a larger than life character. Look, I don't know what to say. He's I've got so many hilarious stories with him. But yeah, look, he's interesting character. That's all I have to say, really.
Yeah, I could imagine. So obviously there was so you signed for the Gold Coast. Obviously, I believe you come back and you were training with the Raw before you went over to the Gold Coast. I believe your uncle was there as the coach at the time. And so obviously, was there any dramas with that? Obviously there must have been too many. They signed you knowing that you were probably there training with them at the time. But how was that? Obviously training with Brisbane and then obviously moving down to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it was funny actually because Miron was my coach at the Gold Coast, who called me in Holland and said, come back. And I said, okay, yep. And as you discuss, you think, all right, well, before the season starts, Miron, it's another 6 months. What am I going to do to keep fit? And I just half joked. I said, would you mind if I go train with Uncle Frank? And of course, Miron got the sack from the Gold Coast, and Frank took his position at the Raw. So, it was quite funny, actually. He goes, well, Zenon, if you must train with your uncle, you can train with him. And I said, okay, Miron. And that was my best Miron
that was beautiful.
That's brilliant. Spot on.
But he goes, he just said, look, no dramas, go train there. And, we'll see you when the season starts. So, it was quite funny, actually. Funny.
Obviously you're at the Gold Coast there. What was that like coming in there? New experience, another new team, obviously in the comp. How did you find your time there? You were there for 2 seasons, I believe, or thereabouts. What was it like at the Gold Coast? Any interesting stories or any stories to go off there?
The whole 2 years was interesting. Clive Palmer was the owner.
Exactly.
Look, Gold Coast was great. It was we had a very good team. Miron, if anything, is able to bring people together and construct a good team. We actually lost the final, one of the semi-finals against Newcastle, and I missed the penalty to go into, I think it was the major semi or the next round, I think it was. And but Gold Coast was fantastic. It was a great place to live. Great squad. Had a lot of great memories there on the Gold Coast.
There was obviously a decent amount of players there as well. I believe Schmeltz would have been there. I believe Brigitte was there as well. Obviously a few others as well. James Brown, I think, was in there as well at some point. So what was the quality like for you there, and the experience, I suppose? So how did you get along as a group, and did you take anything away from obviously that period before you moved on to the next chapter?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of good players in that team, and it was a great team. The camaraderie was very high.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to be part of most of my career teams that have been great in the change room. So Gold Coast was like that. I remember clearly in the Gold Coast thinking that I just enjoy every game that I play, enjoy every time I'm training, and that's something I just really remember about the Gold Coast. And I think that was because I just came back from Europe. I'd seen very different things over there, I just always tried to enjoy my time when I was there on the Gold Coast, and that's something that I always remember. I took that with myself wherever I tried to play next.
V's popped in with a question: who is the most underrated player you've ever played with or against? Interesting.
Good question. I played with Tom Ponliak, who was part of that Sydney Olympic championship winning team.
Yeah.
And he played for Victory, played for Central Coast in the A League. He was just a very, very good player. Very good player. Someone I enjoyed playing with. Loved watching play as well.
Yep.
And I always saw him as a young player, someone that I thought could, really kick on, and, why is this player not in Europe? And of course, it's very fine margins we talk about, but he was one player that I thought, Tom Ponliak, what a player. Just a very, very good player. And as I said, just enjoyed watching him play when I was playing with him, and enjoyed watching him play when you're playing against him. So Tom Ponliak was one, and Ufuk Talay, who's the coach of
the Knicks.
New Zealand. The Knicks, and he's actually he's coach there now. He was another one that was just a very good player to watch and play against, and I really enjoyed playing against him and watching him. So another one that I thought could have gone on to play for Australia places like that. But look, he had a very good career, so he's not an underrated player. I guess he's had a fantastic career, both of them.
Yeah. As I said, guys, if you guys have got any questions as well, you want to whack them in the chat. Ben, I'll get you to read them out if you get any there, mate.
Yeah.
We've got another one here from Aiden. Did you always want to play around the midfield, or was there another position that interested you?
No, I was always a midfield player. I knew what my strengths were as a player. If anything, I would have loved to have played higher up the park. I think, in my career in the A League, I got sort of pegged a little bit as a really deep lying midfielder, someone to try and build the ball up from the back out of the back four. That was fine because I was comfortable doing that. But of course, you always want to be a little bit further up the field where you can maybe create a bit more. Have the ability to maybe get a few more goals. But midfield is where I always played, and obviously I love midfield. I enjoy working.
Yeah.
I love that part of the game. It suited the qualities that I had, I guess, to be a midfield.
Another question we've got here. Some people nicknamed you the Caramello Koala. Oh, those were the days. That goes back. Did you ever know about it? And if so, did you have any issues?
Nah, I don't like that Caramello Koala. I mean, I've been called much worse by fans, so that'll do me fine.
Well, that was going to be my question to add on to that. Was obviously in your time, do you have any interesting nicknames playing through your career?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but wherever I went, everyone called me Z Dog, Zen Dog, Z Bomber. So I don't know if it's just the Z at the start, but I used to always get that. So I was Zen Dog for a long time.
I've got myself a question as well.
Yeah.
Is it possible that your wife could recommend us a wine to go with the Caramello Koala?
I can do that for you.
Magic.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that one, actually. It's a good one, Ben. I like that. Very good. Well, we'll continue on. Obviously, we'll continue down the history of obviously yourself. So you left the Gold Coast, and then moved down to Adelaide, 2011 to 2013. Obviously, it was a pretty successful time. They were a pretty strong side, Adelaide. Then I believe they won the championship in 2011-12. So you would have been there for that. What was that like? Were they as dominant, as from a fan's point of view, to what they were, like on the pitch as yourself playing with them?
Yeah, look, my move to Adelaide was exciting time for me, and look, it was a great club, Adelaide, a very footballing club, family club. A lot of good support behind the club. So, look, Adelaide was a very good team. As you said, that just had a successful period. Did very well in the Champions League, and it was came at the right time for me to try and do something at another club. So yeah, it was a very good club at the time.
Yeah, dropped down a little bit there. I hope everyone else got all of that. What was it going? What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought.
It was a move to Adelaide, which nearly ended up as a move to Turkey to Konyaspor.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, how did that? Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, again, it's funny how things happen. Shane Smeltz ended up signing. I can't remember at the time. He signed for a Turkish club, and his agent again was looking at players. A Turkish agent was looking at players and was watching a video of Shane Smeltz. And Smeltzy rang up and said, "Hey, Zenny," I remember the conversation it was a funny conversation. He goes, "Hey, Zenny, you wouldn't believe it. I'm trying to get a move to Turkey, but the guy, he wants to take you over." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, there you go." So I ended up not signing at that club, which was a blessing in disguise because Danny Vukovic was there, and I called Danny and I said, "Hey, Danny, is this a good place to come? Obviously, it's a big move, Gold Coast to Turkey. What do you say?" And again, just by a stroke of luck, I didn't sign there because Danny said to me, "Zenon, this is the best place in the world. You got to see it. It's unbelievable, so professional." And lo and behold, 3 weeks later, he was back because they didn't pay him his money. They didn't sign him on a proper contract. And so it was just so lucky that I didn't get released. Clive wouldn't release me from Gold Coast, and Miriam wouldn't release me either. So I was lucky I didn't go.
Lucky, yeah, obviously, yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, Australians don't generally have a good run in Turkey, do they? Look at Popper a couple of years back.
I was going to say Popper, yeah. Didn't last too long over
The club he was working for went AOT.
It seems to be a common theme there, unfortunately.
Mm.
So obviously your time at Adelaide, I believe you were picked in a 20-man run-on squad, or like a camp squad for the national team by Holger Olsik. What was that like, getting the call to go to the Australian camp?
Yeah, it was that was a very exciting time. It was an emotional time as well. I remember I was just so excited by the opportunity to be part of national setup in the camp. But I didn't end up going to that camp because I again, you look back at the decisions you make. I had a bit of an ankle issue at the time, and I thought I won't go there and be half baked in front of the national team coach. So I'll make sure I get my ankle right, and then if I keep doing what I'm doing at Adelaide, then opportunities will come again. So I decided that I would, and the season was just beginning with Adelaide, so I took that into consideration as well. I don't want to injure myself and not be ready for the season, and so a lot of things to weigh up. But in the end, I didn't go. I said, look, I'm injured, and I hope I'll get myself right and can be a part of it again. But that didn't happen. So look, that's the way it is sometimes in football. But I was very, very excited to be called up anyway, to be set up.
I believe you won the club champions award as well at Adelaide. Pretty high honour.
Yeah, it was my first year at Adelaide. There, got the club champion. So I was very, very chuffed at that. It was a good time in Adelaide as well.
I got a question in here from the chat. We've got boy Summer Axel coming in with, what do you think the A League needs to improve on?
Oh, look, I would look. The A League is it's a great competition. I loved playing in it. It's it is professionally run, despite things that happen and you read about. But that's across all sporting codes. But I would love to see more teams in the A League. Obviously, more opportunity for young Australian players to play. And eventually, if we can get there, hopefully a promotion relegation scenario with the second division. So these are things that, of course, they're not easy to put together. But they're things that I would love to see happen in the A League. And I think that that'll really go a long way to engaging more people to watch and be a part of football in the country.
Yeah, very, very much so. Aiden's got another question here. He's got plenty. What is your favourite memory on the field? Newcastle Stadium was. What is your most favourite memory on the field at Newcastle Stadium? Was there a particular game or a particular incident that you really enjoyed or can remember at your time
Yeah,
at the Jets?
yeah. We had a lot of great times with the Jets, and it was a great stadium to play in. You know, when the fans were pumping and it was rocking, it was awesome. It was awesome. But you know, one standout moment I think was Michael Bridges' farewell game, and I remember he scored. It was his last game before he retired. Announced his retirement. Scored a cracking volley. Um, you know, it was just for us as his mates a great way to be sent off. You know, and we won the game convincingly.
Yeah.
Look, it was great. You know, and that was on the field. Another thing I always remember to this day was when we all got together and we shaved our heads at the Jets, and you know, and that for me was, you know, it was a great memory because none of us even questioned, you know, and I had long hair at the time, really long hair, you know,
Yeah.
looked
Actually,
after it, brushed it, put the product in it, you know, and we all just said, you know what, we're gonna shave our heads for this cause, and you know, it was for me another great thing about being part of a team that happened off the field. So you know, I've got a lot of great memories in Newcastle, a lot of great memories.
Yeah, I actually remember that. I believe that was for unfortunately when Ben Kennedy's mum passed away around that time, I believe. Yeah, it was an interesting moment. Obviously, everyone for the club, all the players obviously jumped on the bandwagon, which was yeah, I do remember that. It was amazing, really good by the club, obviously, and all you players as well. You know, stand behind him, and obviously help him in a troubled time. So we'll move down. Obviously, we'll talk obviously about the Jets. It's obviously the main reason we're here. The main reason we want to talk to you about 2 stints at the Jets. You took a leave of, well, you left for a little bit to go back home. We'll start with that one, obviously. So I believe you went back home for a business opportunity or something along those lines. What happened there? What was the main reasoning behind you leaving?
Look, there was a lot of there was a lot of things happening at Newcastle at the time. You know, coaches. You know, I'd signed for one coach, then that coach left, and another coach came in. So it was just there was a lot of instability at the time. And you know, look, I had another year left on my contract at the Jets. You know, but I was 32 at the time, I think, and you know, I'd played in the A League for a very long time, and you know, my father wanted to retire, so you know, I again had a long, difficult conversation over the course of many months with my wife, my father, and family, and you know, I said, you know, I guess I've done everything I wanted to do in the A League. You know, this is maybe a time where I look forward to or look at the next chapter of my life. So I made the decision to leave my contract and pursue the opportunity to come home to Cairns. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, as you said, it was a very stressful time as a Jets fan, and I'm sure as a player mainly. There was plenty of ins and outs. Obviously, we lost a lot of players who got released. You know, Joel Griffiths and co as well were in all that mix.
I'd call that sacked and not released.
Well,
big difference.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to go into too much about it because, as I said, it's one of those things that
it's touchy.
It's still pretty. Yeah. I'm not going to go down that road, unfortunately. But yeah, what was it like? Obviously, playing. Obviously, you know, you got Joel Griffiths and so forth playing there. You said playing with Bridgie, who's a legend. Obviously, you know, plenty of games for Leeds and Sunderland there, I believe, as well.
Reeves would have been there.
Reeves would have been there as well. What was it like? Obviously, there was definitely some talented players. Was there any standout players at the Jets at the time that, obviously stood out for you? Even maybe some young players as well that were coming.
Yeah, there's always you players in your teams that you enjoy playing with and you think are great players. Bridgie obviously was one. You've got different types of players. You've got leaders in there. Ruben Zadkovic, who was a very big character Taylor Regan, also was a rock in defence. A leader as well. Kanarowski in midfield, young Vigili. Yeah, we got a lot of good players. I mean, Ryan Griffiths. Yeah, there's a lot of good players in the Jet squad.
Yeah.
But it's how a team gels on the pitch as well. It's the direction that a team's given. Sometimes it doesn't reflect the quality that is on the pitch. So yeah.
Yeah, have you got anything else to add in regards to that, Ben?
Nothing off the top of my head.
Aiden's got another question. If you had to do your soccer career over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, not call it soccer.
That's very, very good pickup. But yeah, is there anything?
Yeah, look, I would change the decisions I made in some ways, but look, you can't change things that happen. But yeah, look, I would have made a lot of different decisions on knowing what I know now. I made a lot of different decisions in terms of where I signed, who I would listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all part and parcel of it, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly it. Obviously, I believe you were there with Phil Stubbins as well. What was he like as a coach?
Yeah. What do you say about Phil Stubbins? I mean, look, I'm not here to tear people down or to say anything disrespectful to people, but at the end of the day, you can have all the qualifications in the world.
Yep.
But if you don't have that art to manage people, to understand people, it makes it very, very difficult to be a football coach with many, many different personalities. So,
yeah.
Look, yeah, what can I say? Phil Stubbins, no.
No, it's not. Wasn't a favourite. We'll leave it at that. What was I going to say? There's something off the top of my head now. I've just totally forgotten it. Because I was intrigued to see what your answer was. Because unfortunately,
yeah, I'm going good has put into the chat Heskey.
Heskey, big man.
Heskey,
yeah. Heskey's a legend. Heskey was look. Of course, I can't miss Heskey. He was a great guy. Brilliant to have around the change room. Someone who'd done so much in his career. Such a humble guy. And of course, was a great player up front. He didn't bang in a huge amount of goals.
Yeah.
But what he gave to the team in terms of his presence, his personality, and we probably weren't the best team suited for him either. But he was a fantastic player. I really well with him and still speak to him to this day. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I'll keep my mouth closed.
Keep your mouth closed, mate. Calm down. He was a good.
Oh, he was great when he played for us at Birmingham, but
Yeah,
he turned very quickly into an enemy when he moved to the Villa.
He was even better when he played for us at Liverpool.
And then he left, and then he left the Villa and went to the Jets anyway. So we win. I win again.
Absolutely. Obviously, we can't leave obviously talking about the Jets without touching obviously on Nathan Tinkler. Obviously, we've heard plenty of stories. We've heard plenty of, I suppose, different stories and everything else. How did you find your time with obviously Tinkler at the helm? even I suppose from his perspective, obviously, the club was obviously in all sorts of dramas, all sorts of shit. You know, we've heard obviously plenty of stories from the likes of your Joe Wheelhouses and so forth, where at the time when it all first started, everything was great, and obviously the money was there, and you'd have breakfast every day pretty well at the Crown Plaza there, buffet breakfast and everything else, and then it all sort of turned to shit. How did you find him personally?
I didn't know. I met him once in the change room before a game in Perth, and I think he was only there because he was talking to Tony Say. Look, I think people don't understand, or maybe they, the Tinklers of the world, the Clive Palmer.
Yeah,
they're not. They don't have a love for the game.
Yeah.
You look at the lot owned the Jets previous. I mean, it's chalk and cheese between the two owners. One's a passionate football nut, and the other one, or the club, or the code. So that's one way of looking at it. But as a player, they pay your wages. When I was there,
it's dropping. We're dropping in and out. We've got a bit of.
It was a complete.
Got a bit of lag.
I mean, I when I left, like it was.
Gotta love Aussie internet. You there, mate? Are you still there, Ben?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, just give it a sec. Zenon, we've
yeah, can you hear?
Oh, we can. I can now. Yeah, it just
I can hear, but video's frozen.
picture's frozen. Yeah, it must have. Yeah, typical Aussie internet. What do you expect?
Hang on. Oh, dead on 9 o'clock. That would be why.
Dead on 9 o'clock. There you go.
Yeah, because everything rolls from peak to off peak.
Off peak, yeah. So obviously, your time at Newcastle came to an end. You retired, obviously, at the Jets. At the end of that, obviously, the season there. Was it a no-brainer for you to finish your career at that point in time, or?
As I said, I'd done everything I wanted to do in the A League. I could have kept playing on longer. I felt still very fit. I'd had very few injuries, fortunately. Have any career-ending injury. That it was a right time. After I left the Jets, and I'm saying that they, someone was able to, after my father passed away, pick up where I left off on the contract that I left. So, look, I was very lucky, and it was the timing was right.
Yeah, actually, I've just got a question. It totally eluded me, and I totally forgot about it. And it was definitely something I was going to ask you. Obviously the players that were sacked. I believe you were offered the captain's armband to take the captaincy, but you declined the captaincy for out of respect, I suppose. How did that come about? And did you even think about it, or did you just virtually go, no, not happening?
Yeah, look, again, Phil Stubbins, got rid of what he perceived to be players that he didn't want. You're talking senior players in the team, and he completely destroyed that team, destroyed the year for Newcastle, and then had the hide to come and ask me, another senior player, if I would take the captain's armband. And for me, that was just a firm no. There's no chance I would take the armband. I'll still play for the club because I have a contract with the club. I'll play for the fans and play for my teammates. But for you, I don't play for you, and I'm definitely not going to be wearing the captain's armband for you. Were my exact words to him. So yeah, I was very, very upset for my teammates. It caused a lot of anxiety for them, for their families. Yeah. And again, like I said, as a coach, you need to be able to relate to other human beings, and he couldn't.
Yeah, no,
fair call.
Fair enough. No, fair enough, absolutely, and good on you. In my opinion, as I said, just standing up and saying your piece and doing what you felt you needed to do. So, as a Jets fan, we've got no dramas there. We loved you. From a fan's point of view, we loved everything you've done for the club, and obviously the passion you had on the field, obviously week in, week out, which is great. Obviously, and I'm sure there's plenty of fans here tonight listening in that obviously would say the exact same thing. You know what I mean? You played for the badge, and at the end of the day, that's all as a player or as a fan we can ask for. So yeah, for that, mate, we definitely thank you, and we thank you for your time, obviously, at the Jets. You moved on. We're gonna slowly start to wrap it up. We'll talk a bit, obviously, about what you're up to now, and obviously how everything's going with the academy and everything else. But we will leave this sort of A League scenario on a simple, personal honours of Adelaide United club champion. Gold Coast United, your coach's player of the year there, 2009, 2010. NSL champions, Sydney Olympic, and I believe 2016. I don't have it in front of me, but it was roughly 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
You were honoured for an outstanding contribution to the A League, which, in my opinion, couldn't be far from the truth, and it was well deserved, in my opinion, mate. So pretty stellar career you had. I'd be pretty chuffed. Well, I'm chuffed for you, mate. So yeah, it's an absolute honour to watch you go around in the A League, mate.
I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate that. It's it was. I was fortunate to be able to play, and I appreciate the words.
Yeah, no, as I said, mate. As I said, it was again for what those, especially the period that you came in, which is unfortunate because there was a bit of dramas and so forth there. But for what you and obviously a lot of the players did, and to play at the professional level that you still did with everything going on in the background and all the dramas and so forth. It's absolute standout for us, and obviously we loved you at the club and watched you playing. So, but we'll move on. And we'll talk a bit about what you're up to these days. I believe you're doing tremendous things up the top end there in Cairns, with obviously the academy and youth development and so forth. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening up there now with your new academy?
Yeah, I look, I got into coaching, I guess, by chance. It never really was something I pursued or thought about after playing. But I didn't. I went cold turkey from football when I retired. I didn't even watch the World Cup. I was a bit of a hard transition for me at the time, and my wife slowly got me into loving football again, and said, why don't I do some coach some young kids and just some one-on-ones and look, and that's, long story short, that's how it started. I coached a few young kids in town, and then I just fell in love with that side of the game, and of course it's my passion. I love football, and it just over time evolved into an academy, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I'm able to do.
Do you hear that, Josh? That's what we need.
What?
We need wives that understand our passion for football. It's something either me or you don't have.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Bloody hell. I'm watching the football. Yeah, you what? Really? Do it out there. Don't come to bed and watch.
Are you doing that football podcast again?
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. Some of us aren't as lucky.
Gotta have a hobby, sweetheart.
No, exactly right. You coach, obviously you're talking about you dabbled into a little bit of coaching at junior level and so forth. Is it something that you might be interested in doing at a more senior level? Or are you happy?
I'm happy what I'm doing at the moment. Obviously I'm working with a range of kids from 9, 8 right through to 16. So I'm currently looking after the Football Queensland program here in.
Yep.
I got to travel last year to the Nationals as a coach with the Queensland team. So look, that was a great experience, something I really enjoyed. So look, down the track, senior football, youth football, I may get into, but I'm happy and comfortable where I am at. But you never know with what's around the corner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You still, I suppose, classed as a young'un, 37, I believe, mate. You still kicking the ball.
I'm getting on.
Still playing for a local club?
No, I'm not actually. I'm not playing at all. But every now and then there's some 5-a-side competitions that happen, or some indoor. So I'll go out and have a kick socially, but nothing substantial. So yeah, I'll get my football fix just in those small-sided games. So I really enjoy that.
Fair enough. Your thoughts on North Queensland? This as obviously the Fury. Do you believe there should be a team up there? Do you think they deserve another crack?
That's a good question. Look, I think there should be a team in some capacity here. Cairns, North Queensland. But again, the model has to be. It's you've got, and it goes back to what I was saying before. Tinklers, the Palmers, as much as they might cause chaos within the league, these people are putting their money where their mouth is and running football clubs.
Yeah.
So for someone to come into North Queensland or Cairns, the model needs to be affordable for teams here to operate. But yeah, I do believe at some point there should be, whether it's a second division club or an A League team, there is the appetite most definitely in Queensland for. I think it is the highest participated sport here.
Yeah, I was about to say, is what's the growth like for up there in North Queensland? Is there enough growth and a talent pool for, say, a second division side or even an A League side?
Definitely, there's a huge amount of interest in football here for young kids, but yeah, it comes down to a lot of different things. It has to be marketed well. Far North Queensland, obviously, there's a rugby league and AFL, so there's a lot of competition for kids. But if it's done well, if it's run well, if you can engage the community, then it can work. But there's a lot of things that need to come together before it can happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
I'd love to see another team up there.
Oh, absolutely.
Just so I can fly up there and spend more than 4 hours in Cairns.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's obviously talk. They were talking about obviously another Brisbane sort of team into the A League. I suppose. I think if they're going to do that, I think they need to move it further up. There's no point of having 3 within an hour and a 2-hour drive.
Like here,
I suppose. I suppose it's different. Different down here. We've got the Central Coast, which is an hour. But
I'm not talking about them.
Do you really call them a team? Let's be honest.
I was talking about Melbourne, but anyway.
Oh, sorry. Any chance to have a dig at the coast? It's a Novocastrian trait, unfortunately.
Mate, it's not even a Novocastrian trait. I do it.
It's a Newcastle thing, mate. Newcastle fencing. But yeah, we're gonna slowly wrap it up now, mate. We do thank you for your time, obviously, for giving us the hour or so to have a bit of a chat about your career and obviously what you're up to these days. Before we let you go, a couple of obviously real quick questions. Best player that you've played with?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Troy Alpin.
Troy Alpin? Beautiful.
Troy Alpin.
I'll go with Troy Alpin.
Bloody beautiful. Yeah, no, he was definitely a decent player. And there was another one there I was going to say as well. I suppose just in obviously 3 things that Australian football needs in the future.
More clubs, more coaches, and more accessibility. I think would be a really important.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Absolutely
100%.
agree with that. No, it's been an absolute honour, mate. We'll let you go. Obviously, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. We do thank you very much for jumping on and talking, obviously, the Jets fans and obviously giving us a little bit of insight into your career. As I said, it was a stellar one, and definitely one of the best players, obviously, in the A League we've seen going round through the midfield there. Definitely one of the best midfielders we've had at the club, anyway. So Ben, any last words, mate, before we let him go?
Just the one. What's it like to play in an F3 derby?
May have dropped, may have lost him.
Hang on. You won't be able to hear that, but everybody in chat will.
As long as everyone in chat can hear it. Oh. Got you there, mate?
Oh, wow, the delay.
Yeah, wow. Must be. Yeah.
I've never come across that delay.
That's crazy. 9 o'clock delay. Far out. That's beautiful.
It's the time zone shifting.
Yeah.
We can blame it. Can we blame it on the time zone?
Absolutely. Why the hell not? Oh, you there, mate?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, got you now. So, yeah, I believe I don't know if anyone else heard it or not. I definitely didn't. F3 Derby. What was it?
What's it like?
Yeah, as I said, the F3 Derby was a great experience. You know, a lot of passion between both clubs. Obviously, big rivals. And as I said, I think that's what the A League has done well to create these derbies. And I played in a few, you know, with the Jets. You know, played obviously with Adelaide in Melbourne, Victory at the time. So you know, these old rivalries from the start of the A League. Yeah, they're brilliant. They really are, and I think the F3 Derby is up there with some of the best in the country.
And you'd hate to miss one.
And you'd hate to. It's your favourite saying, isn't it, Ben?
Only because I was there.
8-2 victory.
It was a great night. It was a great night on the piece.
Oh, if you missed that one, yeah, absolutely, banging, great season. Yeah, mate. Anyway, we're gonna leave you there. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. We do appreciate you giving up your time. We'll be in touch. I'll send you a message afterwards just to thank you personally. But yeah, as I said, mate, from Jets fan, Ben and myself, from the Jets faithful, obviously, and all the fans out there, we thank you for your time, mate, and hopefully, you know, we see you doing something, obviously, you're doing your academy. But yeah, maybe something in the A League later on down the track. No worries, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, guys. Josh, Ben, thanks for the opportunity, and we'll chat soon. And good luck to the Jets when everything resumes.
Absolutely, mate.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Great shirt,
Cheers,
mate.
Zenon.
Take it easy, buddy.
Cheers, boys.
Absolute bloody
Hang
nightmare
on,
on the
I
internet tonight.
gotta fix yours. I gotta fix
Hey?
yours now.
Why's that?
Oh, because it's just the way that it's meant to be set up.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. Hello, lads. Leslie Starr, your mum's in the chat.
Hi,
How are you,
Mum.
Leslie? She's your mum.
Yeah, your mum was here earlier.
Oh, well, she didn't say it.
Yeah, she was here earlier.
I don't know. I think I've missed plenty of chat, to be fair. But yeah, as I said, guys, we hope you guys enjoyed, obviously, the chat. We do apologise for all the
Hickety ups.
technical dramas and Christ knows what going on. in the background.
Outside our control.
Yeah, absolutely outside our control. Everyone in the chat, obviously, everyone who's jumped on the YouTube side, everyone who's jumped on the Facebook side, it is muchly appreciated. If you guys are on the Facebook side and you haven't jumped over to my YouTube channel, Crossbar Capers, be sure to go and do that. As I said, obviously we do a fair few interviews, we do a bit of podcasting and a bit of chill streams and so forth when I'm really bored.
Yeah, I've never come across that delay before.
Yeah, that was really bad.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was bizarre and all sorts. Yeah, I thought Graham's was bad, but bloody, at least he's actually just dropped out.
See, look, Discord would be good if you could actually tinker with the video settings, like drop the quality.
Yeah.
But you can't. It is what it is.
Yeah, we don't know how different that may have been.
Well, it's great for the first hour till we hit 9 o'clock, and then it just turned to shit.
Yeah. But as I said, guys, be sure to jump over to the YouTube side and check out obviously past interviews. We've done so many interviews. Obviously, we've passed Newcastle Jets players, obviously, and coaching staff, current obviously Jets players as well. And we do obviously thank everybody who's been on in the last 3 years. I suppose we've been doing it, running it for
3 years, 2 years.
2018, it was early 2000, mid 2018, so 18, 19.
I was about to say, because my YouTube channel only hit 3 years old yesterday, and I was around before you.
Oh, well, there we go. So it's about 2.
I was 3 years as of yesterday.
Rightio, whatever. But yeah, as I said, guys, we do muchly appreciate it. Go subscribe over on the YouTube side of stuff. Next week, we're just teeing up times and obviously the exact the day, obviously whether it's going to be a Wednesday or a Thursday. We will have ex-Newcastle Jets captain, Casey Weirman on the show, which would be an absolute cracker as well. He's an absolute legend. I'm sure he's got plenty of stories behind the scenes, which obviously we'll try and get out of him and everything else. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed, obviously, the channel.
Yeah, and, boy, Summer Axel has asked a question to which I would like to answer.
I'm only getting like a massive delay. Like literally, you said that. There was a question there, and it only literally just popped up on my freaking.
Yeah, you've got it on. Yeah, that's because I've got the live stream chat direct from YouTube as well. He's like, how did Josh and Ben become friends?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Josh and I met each other.
Actually, hang on. Before you go that far.
Okay.
Obviously, 2013, I ended up moving down to Melbourne for hell of it. I firstly just had a gut full of Newcastle per se after past relationships and fucking just over it. I needed a change and everything else, so teed up a job, took the job, and obviously moved down here or whatever it was, and then ended up meeting my now lovely wife. And then I'll leave you take it from there because I know you love telling the story.
I do. So I knew Josh's wife before Josh knew his wife. We used to be club rat friends. So she was in our group that used to go clubbing all the time, around the same age as us sort of thing. So yeah, that's how I knew Josh's wife. And then a mutual friend of ours from that friendship group, there, unfortunately, her father passed away. And so I met Josh at his funeral.
Yeah, bloke I've never met before in my life.
Yeah. I'd only met him, I think it was once briefly in passing. It was about 6 weeks before he did pass, in said club. In our younger days, we used to go out and drink for the hell of it.
She loved the club days.
Oh, we all did, mate. But yeah, that happened, and then the said person had a few friends around, like close friends, for the wake afterwards at her house. And I walked through the door with my partner, Sarah, and here I see this bloke standing there in a Newcastle Jets shirt. And I walked through the door in a Birmingham City shirt. We sort of just looked at each other sideways a bit and went, "You do the footballs. We do the footballs." And it was like that. It was that moment. It was that moment. I don't know whether the moment came before or after we put the porta cot up together.
Oh, yeah.
That was our first task as friends, is to put this porta cot together. We'd known each other for about 10 minutes.
That was the wrong time.
But it was
way too many drinks. Let me.
It was very much a moment like from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Yup. and basically that's how it was. Back then I wasn't affiliated with an A League club. Never really watched it. I'd been to I think I went to an original derby many, many, many years ago because my auntie got tickets through her work, so she took me. All I remember was it was at the, yes, I'm going to say it, Telstra Dome, because that's how old it was. And it was the Adelaide United game against Melbourne Victory, where what's-his-mate friggin' knocked Ferreira off his chair.
Oh,
I remember watching that live with my own eyeballs. It was the semi-final.
Yeah, Muscat.
Yeah, it was the semi-final.
Yeah.
That was my first exposure to A League, and from then till meeting Josh and went to that all but faithful Melbourne City game, I was unattached. I was unattached to the A League. I thought it was crap, fucking shit football.
It was shit football. It was a very weird moment. We'll leave it at that. It was a very weird moment walking through. Friggin', I think we'd both come from work. I was in my work gear. He was in his work gear at the wedding. At the funeral, sorry. At the funeral. Because it was.
I was in fluoros.
And, yeah, friggin', it was real basic and shit like that. We obviously went home, showered or whatever, and then ended up going out to friend's place, obviously, to have the wake. And yeah, it was my first. I remember my first thought was just, I haven't had.
That's an obscure football shirt.
I hadn't had much to drink at that point, so I was pretty onto it, and I'm like, that's something you don't see every day.
Yeah. Ain't many Birmingham shirts walking around Melbourne, mate.
Yeah, I was like, that's cute. Someone's ended up friggin'. I can't talk. I said not so much now because they're probably all burnt or thrown, but I had plenty of obscure shirts myself at that stage. I had an Oldham shirt and all the old friggin'.
I've still got my Oldham shirt.
I thought none of it. Obviously, I just thought, oh yeah, cool. He just grabbed a shirt. And then, that was pretty much it. Bro, me got talking about it, and that's it. And
now our wives hate us for it.
Yeah, Luke, that's pretty much the way it is. It's a thing.
We bonded over a love of football.
We can't go anywhere. We're not allowed to freaking do anything. If we go to a party or we go somewhere,
we can't talk football
or anything can't talk football.
We both get yelled at for it.
Absolutely, freaking. What do you freaking talk about?
Yep.
Well, that's all there is.
Oh, you're on the phone to your boyfriend again.
Yeah, that's it. You're on your phone to your boyfriend. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Real low key, real simple. Football, what can you say? It's a wonderful thing, and plenty of people bond over it. So,
and if it weren't for a love of football, or our mutual love of football, guess what, guys? Podcast wouldn't exist.
Absolutely, it wouldn't. But before we go, as I said, we do thank you guys for jumping on tonight, and we do thank you guys for obviously all the locals. Welcome to everyone else who is new. who's come in tonight, obviously, to see Zenon and see what he had to say. But yeah, big shout out to obviously all the locals, Luke and Aiden, and yeah, everyone else who's obviously been around. It's muchly appreciated. Thanks to everyone in the Facebook chat who jumped on as well. What was I going to say? We'll have Casey on next week. We are talking with obviously a few others as well. It's going to be difficult now, obviously, with the A League slowly starting to get back to normality and hopefully starting.
And with us being in metropolitan Melbourne, so technically we're in stage 3 lockdown again.
Yeah, so we can't go anywhere. We can't do anything as well. But
we're only allowed out for the 4 main reasons again.
The big news, guys, and what I want to get out of you guys before we do go is we have football back this weekend. For every Novocastrian who is in the chat, football is back. NPL is back. Bar TV, I've never been so excited to whack Bar TV on the weekend. But who are you guys supporting in the NPL? That's the one I'm going to leave you with.
That's Luke, rough for me.
Luke, obviously, I know you're the Lambton Jaffers.
Jaffers.
Going to live sports on Sunday nights versus Parramatta. Ah, beautiful, mate. Get into it. Why not?
What sport is that?
What is that? So leave in the comments whether you're on the YouTube side or obviously the Facebook side or whatever it is. Who you're going to be supporting in the NPL? Be sure to, obviously, if you're allowed to, get down. I think it's 500 people they're allowed.
I don't know who I'd support.
Which is next to nothing, and they'd be lucky to get 500 during the season if nothing was going on, if there was no dramas. So be sure to get down there and support you guys. I'll be definitely repping the Buds this year. I've literally just ordered my new shirt from the Buds, which hopefully will be here soon. Can't wait for that.
Jeff's a Jaffers fan.
Jeff's far out there everywhere.
I don't see. I'd toss up between two, and I know which one I'd much rather go with because I know the other one cops a lot of stick. Actually, no, there'd be 3.
Mate, my cousin played for the Jaffers in the NPL at the top of their game. Won 3 championships with him in the last couple of years, and I still would not be supporting those pricks, even when he was there.
Oh no, I never said I was supporting the Jaffers. My 3 that I'd pick would be Brody, which would be out because the stories that you've told me and it seemed like a bit of a rough nut. Edgy, purely because of Damien, which is now redundant, but just their style and watching them play in the FFA Cup as well, it sort of drew me to them. And the Magpies. Yeah, you shake your head. I told you, I don't know. I know who the teams are. I know who I'm not allowed to support because you would kill me.
There's 3 teams. Oh, yeah. There's two definite teams you definitely cannot support in the NPL, and
one would have to be Hamilton.
Who?
Well, I got that one right.
That's a who?
That's one. Who's the other one?
Who are they?
And probably Brody.
Who are they? Newcastle City or whatever they're fucking called.
Oh yeah, they've changed their name. The Azuri, isn't it?
Bloody friggin' dick.
And the other one you'd probably yell at me for supporting would be Brody.
Yeah, I've already had my.
Even though your mum lives in Brody.
Already had my.
That's where I've spent most of my time in Newcastle.
Yeah, and for that, the worst thing is literally where my mum lives.
She's like right on the border of like Adamstown and.
I can walk. I can literally no shit. It is a 5-minute walk up, just up over the train line, up over the bridge.
Yeah.
To Magic Park. It's a 5-minute walk to the right, down past the race course, and you're at Olympic,
yeah.
Hamilton, and then it's friggin' you head backwards behind our joint, and it's friggin' another 5-minute walk to Adamstown Oval.
Yes,
so we're literally smack bang.
Yeah, your old girl's like right on the corner of all 3.
So when I was younger, before teams weren't a no-no. It was great because I could just go watch football whenever I wanted. It didn't matter. It was always going to be one of them was going to be at home.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But
To be fair, though, the only NPL game, Northern New South Wales NPL game that I've actually watched with my own pair of eyes was the Buds versus Charlestown, back when Lubo was playing at Charlestown.
that's who we
And
played.
we could hear him from the hill absolutely spraying his teammates. And that was a very young Adamstown side too.
Yeah, not much has changed, unfortunately. Our growth pool hasn't friggin' happened. We've actually played Charlestown this weekend. So
Is the other Western, Aiden asks.
Oh, Western, far out.
Western are just sort of that team that to me, they're just sort of that team that sit there and go, well, we tried.
Well, look, Uncle Fester and his Western lads with his 2 teeth and his friggin' uncle's married his auntie's cousin.
Is it one of them, is it?
Oh, it's a 2-headed town. But yeah, look, I remember playing them back in the old days, the old 2HD League and shit like that, and they were shot. Like they were nothing. They were bottom of the table every year. If they won 4 games, they were special and shit like that. But ever since they picked up, they got a bit of money. They picked up, obviously, bloody freaking what's his name? The ex-Jet.
Is it what now?
The Dutch prick. What's his name?
Q
Giants.
Q Giants.
So he left Newcastle, finished up with Newcastle, and then went out there and played with them. And then he ended up coaching them, and then took them on charge and played well and picked up decent talent. Because obviously, who wouldn't want to be coached by an ex-Jet and somebody played at a decent level? Luke Jew.
Watched a few FFA Cup games between NPL sides.
Yeah, they're on the high. They're on the up.
Huge aliens.
Yeah, alien. But yeah, friggin'. So they're on the ups. They're good on them. But no, they're definitely not. Definitely Broadmeadow, Hamilton are the 2 teams that.
So I picked them. I picked them then. I picked the 2 teams that you would hate me for.
I would go and watch Broadmeadow Magic versus Hamilton Olympic with a couple of tins with the boys and sit there and in the middle and just watch them.
The sparks fly.
And watch them scream at each other and yell across. Like you can't get 2 teams that hate each other more. Like these 2 teams, the Greeks and shit like that. Like you're trying to.
Because I was about to say, what's Hamilton?
The Italians.
They're Italians and Broadie's Massos, isn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously you had what's the name? I can't remember what it was, but yeah, no, the Massos. But you couldn't think of a worse place to be.
Nah.
Like Broadmeadow Magic, going to Broadmeadow Magic, and I don't know if anyone else in his had the luxury of playing against Broadmeadow Magic for a club, even at junior level. It's scary times. It's full on. They are just, and again, it's passion and they love their football and they're proud of their culture and they're proud of their club, and it is literally a family club, and everyone knows everybody, everyone's cousins and brothers and sisters and what have you, and good on them. But to play there, it's a scary place. Like walking out from the tunnel,
it's intimidating.
Oh, absolutely, it is. Absolutely, I remember walking out there, me and a couple of the boys, and we ended up beating them 1-0, and we literally sat. The full-time whistle went, and they went back to the sheds with the shits, obviously. And we stayed on the pitch for 15 minutes after the whistle because we didn't want to go through the tunnel, which you had to go, which was like a cage, but you had to go past them. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't much it wasn't going to hold you if they wanted to jump.
So yeah, probably the exact same way I felt walking out to play South Melbourne Youth.
And you've been in Magic Park for FFA Cup games. You're a lucky man. I remember watching Broadmeadow Magic women back in the day play freaking.
Probably just as intimidating as me walking out to play South Melbourne FC's Youth. Because that is fucking scary as a kid.
Scary times.
That is scary when you've got Greek parents hurling words from the sideline that you, as a youngster, have no idea.
And that's
but everything that comes out of their mouth sounds angry.
I remember I was under 16s. Under 16s, was playing.
The Knights was the same. Going to play Melbourne Knights was the same.
We went to Olympic and we beat Olympic 4-0. And they weren't that crash hot. But I remember walking off at half time and the coach turning to me, Darren, and he goes to me, I don't think that grandma likes you, mate. And I'm like, oh, me? He's like, yeah, you haven't heard her? She's been yelling abuse at you for 45 minutes. And I'm like, oh, is she yelling at me? He's like, well, yeah. And she goes, oh, I thought it was Jason she was yelling at because he was revving her up.
Yeah.
Like he would, every time he'd walk, run past her or he'd be trotting back to the fence or whatever it was, frigging, the whole frigging meh, over the hands or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Keep talking, you're getting smacked, la la la, and all this sort of shit. But no, she was yelling abuse at me because I chopped her grandson or something. I don't know where she got that from because I didn't chop him. I got the ball, but anyway.
But I got the ball, ref. Yeah, but you took out 3/4 of his shin on the way through.
It was not. It was more than 50% ball, so it's freaking. But then I'm like, oh really? She's like, yeah. You haven't noticed that? I'm like, no, I haven't watched her. I've heard it in my head telling her to shut the fuck up. But I'm not game enough to say that because we are at Olympic and I've got to get home.
She hopped the fence.
There's
a car park right out there.
It was scary times. It's scary times. But again, it's not so much like that now. It was back in the day, but it is still against.
Yeah, when we were kids, it wasn't controlled.
Is definitely not.
It's not. It wasn't as controlled back then as what it was than what it is now.
Control. They didn't know what the word control was back then. There was no.
No, you'd have. I remember games. Parents would be hopping. Parents would be hopping fences, running across from one side of the pitch to the other, so they could punch on with the parents on the other side. Oh, it was mental.
Easy.
It was mental.
Yelling abuse. Where was it? We played. Who was it? It was bloody.
Fucking all over the shop.
Was it Edgeworth? Might have been Edgeworth. We played Edgeworth, I think, at one point, and I think it was Edgeworth. I'm going with Edge, because I'm almost certain it was them at Adamstown, and the fans were going nuts at each other. They were yelling abuse. They were throwing shit. Literally, man, they were throwing cans and bottles across the pitch, over our heads, hurling it at each other. Friggin', and like, we're sitting there on the pitch. Even the edgy players looking at us and going, "What the fuck happened here? What's going on? Did someone say something or?"
Are these guys watching what we're doing, or did they not give a fuck? Can we kick the ball?
Yeah, like we were all as confused as each other. We were players freaking going to the referee. I'm like, are we safe here, or
you can call this shit off before it moves out into the car park, or
like literally? I remember freaking one of my mates, friggin' Sammy. He was friggin' flying down the wing, and it was on the wing side of Edgy. And next minute, friggin' this bloody can comes flying across in front of him. Like, missed him by inches, I reckon. But friggin', running down the sideline, the defender wasn't going to friggin' stop him. So the friggin' parent or the friggin' the fan of the Edgy friggin' thought, fuck it, I'll try and stop him. Throws the can across and friggin' nearly takes me mate out. I'm like,
the best story I have is, well, I played when I was playing under 17s. I think I was playing for. Oh, fuck. I think I might have been playing for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Back then. We were playing Williamstown North. I don't know what they're called now. I don't think they have a name anymore. Received travel exemptions by the New South Wales government today, enabling them to fly to Sydney once the players and staff all return negative for tests. Yeah, but the problem is, are they going to have to sit in 14-day lockdown? But yeah, I'll never forget it. We were playing Williamstown North. My dad was running a line for us, obviously. And I skinned past this bloke and he fucking clipped my heel on the way through. Thought nothing of it, got up, played on. 5 minutes later, I go in for a tackle on the bloke's slide. Barely rocked his shin pad, right? And he starts going off. I'm like, oh, fuck off, gun. Like, go away. I start walking off, so he pushes me in the back. Next minute, I see this bloke's old man legging it across the fucking pitch past the referee, and he's fucking balling straight at me. And I'll never forget it. I turned around, looked at my dad. By the time I looked at Dad, he dropped the fucking flag from running the line, ran straight onto the pitch, and fucking clean knocked this bloke's father out in the middle of the pitch. They called the game off because the bloke they had to get an ambulance to cart him off the pitch. We couldn't play. Old man just laid him out in the middle of the pitch. and then walked back to the line, grabbed his flag, and go, "All right, come on, let's go." But again, you've met my dad many a time.
Absolutely.
You know what happens when he runs the line.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's pretty much us. We can sit here and talk freaking local football, but absolutely big ups. I'll be definitely watching whatever. Hopefully, I get the buds. Hopefully.
Football.
Not only football, Northern New South Wales football. I love watching my hometown.
Football you can relate to.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Just stuff that you know, and even the coaches and the quality and what to expect. You know what's coming and shit like that. It's great. Even
I'll watch Brody purely because I want to see how Damo goes.
Next season.
Yeah,
I'll watch him too. Freaking Bell and shit. Hopefully he goes in and freaking kicks a few people out of the club. But anyway, that's another story that I wouldn't mind asking him if we can ravel him up and get him on.
Wouldn't be hard. He's pretty well open.
There's definitely a few plays in there that need to go. But anyway, that's a different story, another topic. If feel free to go and have a look at their squad lineup, and you tell me which players you'd like to see out of that club. But anyway,
yeah, at least you guys get an NPL. Down here, ours is all but done now because of going back into lockdown again. We're all but done.
Yeah,
they're not even bothering.
I've played all age there, Luke, and trust me, I some tend to agree with you. It can be pretty fiery. That's why you freaking get a bloke like Lockie Marr, major sponsor of the friggin' of the channel, to jump on, because he just takes blokes out for fun. And
he's got Hyber,
Of course he's a former. That's League One, but he's on second. But because obviously he knows every referee, being a former referee at a high level, they look the blind eye and freaking go, "Oh, nice."
Off you go, Luck.
Got all ball, didn't he? He's like, the ball was 500 meters away. No, the ball was there though. Don't worry about it. Keep playing. So Jaffers game, I'll be looking through the fence. You'll be allowed in.
You'll be allowed in.
They're allowed 500 people, and there's no way they'll get 500. There might now because there's not much football going on, but not much sport.
Be grateful you're allowed to have 500 people in a stadium. We're only allowed to have 5 for a wedding.
So yeah, fucking Christ, I can't even get 5 people in the house.
We're not allowed to have anybody in our houses. This is why you're on one camera and I'm on another one.
Absolutely, exactly right. So yeah, but no, good luck to obviously everyone in the Northern New South Wales NPL competition. Come on, you buds.
Namaste.
Hopefully you have a good season.
Women's
comp starting up next week. I believe next fortnight, regardless. I know they're either a week or 2 weeks behind. So obviously that'll be good as well.
What was the article that I spoke to you about last night? Or was it earlier today? Bloody Jen Hoy signed for Warners Bay? Yeah. That's a fucking massive coup.
No fans allowed when it was announced its return. No, I believe I saw. I'm almost certain I've seen they're still allowed the 500 because it's an open area and shit like that. Even if it's not 500, like a couple hundred people, no one's going to go to that.
Yeah, massive coup for Warners, man.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's a big coup for them. Big coup for them. They'll be hard to stop this year. I think they've definitely got picked up some quality players. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the football wherever you can go watch it.
I'll be watching on Bar TV.
Bar TV, because thanks to those guys, they will be broadcasting at least something. No idea what they're going to broadcast, what's going to be on, how many games, but
should get on to them about a partnership.
Freaking lately, I think so. I think I'm going to put me full. I want someone to go to the Buds Charlestown game. I don't care about anyone else. But yeah, honestly, guys, muchly appreciated. Thank you very much for jumping on, as always. Thanks to Ben. Muchly appreciated, mate, as always.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks to Zenon Caravella for giving up his time. It was an absolute pleasure. Be sure to tune in next week.
Such a cool bloke.
Yeah, he is
such a laid-back bloke.
There's not many that have back, and it's good to the fact that they're out of their career and everything else, and they're pretty open and so forth. Again, how many people you get to interview or whatever it is will sit there and friggin' somewhat not question about a coach because they don't want to say something that will make him look really, really bad, I suppose. But yeah, look, absolute legend. We'll have Casey Women on next week, which is absolute coup as well. We'll keep hunting, boys. And boys and girls. We'll keep trying to find. Hey, Josh, Benjamin. That's old. But yeah, cheers, gents. Jeff.
Cheers,
thanks,
Jeff.
Thank you very much. Luke, thank you very much.
If you guys do get bored,
yes,
twitch.tv/crossbar_capers. Josh is doing live streaming on the Crossbar Capers channel on Twitch and on YouTube now. He has himself a Sunderland career mode going on.
absolutely, which is obviously...
It's the Battle of Brexit.
The Battle of Brexit, which is what I was going to lead into finally. I'll be doing that tomorrow night, probably around 8 o'clock thereabouts. So, yeah, if you like...
I'll be doing the same, but with GTA.
Jump on over there. Be sure to go check out Benno's channel, as always. Corner Flag Games on the Twitch and the YouTube side. Obviously with his FIFA and obviously his chill streams tomorrow with GTA. Other than that, guys, we hope you guys are enjoying what you've got. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube side, go subscribe over there. It's muchly appreciated. Tell your friends about it. Share it around. If there's past interviews in there, obviously, that you may not have seen, good laugh. Joel Griffiths interview 2 years ago. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Go listen to it. It was an absolute screamer of an interview.
He's bloody hilarious.
So many interviews in there. So be sure to go check out that stuff. Share it around if you haven't seen, or if there's stuff in there that your mates and so forth might be interested in as well. But other than that, guys, we will see you when I'm on the stream next. So tomorrow night for me, Ben will be on tomorrow night as well. So do what Aiden does, and Luke obviously, and set us both up on a.
No, Aiden, I won't be doing soccer. I won't be doing football tomorrow. I'll be doing GTA. I'll be doing GTA. Because now that I'm back at work, I can wrangle for other people on a Friday night because they work as well.
Ben will be doing his FIFA on Sunday for sure, so be sure to go check out that.
Because I missed last week's.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, guys, it is muchly appreciated. Thanks to everyone who joined in and so forth. We will catch you tomorrow if you're jumping on one of our channels, whether it be YouTube, Twitch.
You should be on both at the same time.
Absolutely, roughly around the same time. We'll speak to you guys soon. And as always, too bloody right we do. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.